Another question: is there any truth to the reporting of Chinese troops and tanks in Mexico and Russia, making a deal with the new leftist president of Mexico to manufacture dangerous military equipment there and give Mexico 10% of that military equipment? Also, weather war types of alt media reported for months now about Russian and Chinese warships off the northeast coast of South America and various islands. Reports of Bolton and Pence meeting with Putin about Trump being soon to have a military takeover of America, and many troops deploying in emergency type fashion to Reese Air Force Base in North Texas, along with US Armory to our borders. How much is true and what can we do? The Reese Air Force, North Texas, was like a flashback in time. 4-year loop news. Remember Jade Helm? It was all happening then, wasn't it? The Chinese and Russian troops that are on the border in Mexico and Canada was also 4-year loop news, that they were coming to get us in 2014. There was also, at the time, dotted around the alt media of Muslim enclave camps all over America. Now, consider this. We have all kinds of satellites dotted around everywhere. Cameras here, cameras there. Do you think for 1 second that one of the agencies wouldn't have noticed a load of Russian and Chinese troops stationed on both borders? And do you think they would have chose to ignore that? Think about it. They've been sitting there for months. In fact, the Russian and Chinese on the Canadian border and Mexican border have been sitting there for 4 years. And none of the American military or the intelligence agencies did anything about it. Just let them sit there with tanks and all kinds of weaponry. This is the same military and country that's invaded 81 countries since the Second World War. Do you think they're really going to ignore a threat of that magnitude on both borders if it was real? It's not. And they're spitting out 4-year loop news again. All of these reports, and all apart from the Bolton and Pence meeting, which people have twisted based on their own opinions, of which they know zero of what's going on. All these same themes were put out in 2014. Russian and Chinese troops, Mexican and Canadian border. Jade Helm style deployments in emergency fashions. It was all over YouTubes and other alt media then. They're doing it again. Why? Because they want to put you in fear. That's the primary reason. The second reason is they want to gauge how many people don't fall for it, to see if they've made any progress or lost any ground. You're going to get a lot of this type of stuff. Loop news, I call it. It's a 4-year loop. Everything that happened in 14 is being relayed in 2018 like it's happening now. Except it's not. Didn't happen then, and it's not happening now. And it's something that people have to get a grasp on. Here's another 4-year loop narrative. Drake kept quiet for long enough, but he's made statements in his recent show, and I'm sorry, but Drake has completely lost his way, and that show he's doing with Kent Dunn ended any credibility he had left. Zero. Drake has stated this week that Marduk was back and he was seeking him out personally and he will take him out. Oh dear, Drake. Sorry, you might get away with that with some elements in Cosmic Voice, who are still stuck in the 2013-14 time loop narrative, or the quantum shift, or is it quantum shit? But not in this group, Drake. I'm sorry. The very fact you are sharing a show with a channeler is in and of itself a 180 from the Drake we all knew when I left Cosmic Voice. I didn't leave, I was booted. sorry Drake, but you're becoming an embarrassment now, which I personally find sad, despite him selling me out to the Wilcock-Keenian mafia group. Now what is happening is, in the Quantum Shift show, Drake is reading out old logs out of the now disbanded ET group, which ran in the background of the Cosmic Voice group between 2013 and 2014, when certain missions were carried out by people within that group. I can confirm, yes, Marduk was in Africa for the fake Mandela funeral in November or December 2014 time. Mandela had died the previous June. Oops. And the reason Marduk was there for the fake public funeral was, which was another one of the ritual style ceremonies, you know what takes place in the ritual ceremonies, is Marduk, who was being guarded by American troops there, but because Nelson Mandela was a former trustee of the trust. Oops. So he's not a good guy. I'm sorry. And that's why Marduk was there. He's not there now. Marduk was Anunnaki and part of the Draco group within the Anunnaki 5-species circle. He was operating in a human-looking vessel here, and he was the nephew of Anu, who is better known in the Bible as the Lord. Again, oops. And as for Marduk, he was permanently removed by us in November 2016 after our request to the council was approved for his permanent removal. Sorry, Drake. Dearly me.